gonna make the recommendation?
I recommend.
Thank you, Pam. Seconded by Sonia, sorry, Sonia was faster.
Done.
Okay, all in favor? Good. Sorry, that was unanimous. And adoption of the minutes. Have you taken a look at those? And is there any changes that need to be done? No? Okay, who's gonna make a recommendation?
I recommend.
Pam, seconded by Donna. All in favor? Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Okay. Bike park.
Oh, God.
Public, no public comments? Okay, bike park. So the bike park is raising, they're in the fundraising phase of their bid to create a bike park. If they can raise, I think it is between $10,000 and $20,000 in the next 2 weeks, which then they will get started. They will build the bike park in November.
So now that's the time constraint.
That's the time constraint. The weather is the time constraint.
Right.
There's a little bit of issue. You don't want to start the bike park and then have it freeze, but it not be finished, and then there's issues with having to redo stuff. So at the moment, I guess the other comment to make on that is just that they're gonna build it in November. It's gonna be open for 2 days. It's gonna snow and we're gonna close it. And the kids are not gonna like that very much, potentially. So there is a little bit of thought that maybe they wait till March, which would give them way more time to fundraise.
Absolutely.
I don't know if they've decided to do that yet. But I do know that they're able to donate. So maybe if everyone could kind of let their networks know and that kind of thing. You can donate directly to the municipality, anything over $100, or you can donate $25, $50, $75, or $100 through the recreation registration system.
Okay.
Online with your credit card. You will get tax receipts. So that's all set up, ready to go. Or anything over $100, we're asking to come right in, so we're not paying fees on the registration system to take those donations.
So anything over 100, they come in here?
Yep.
To make it, but anything under 100, you can just go online and it's set up.
Yep, it's all set
It's all
up,
set
just
up,
like
yeah.
enrolling into a program, they
Just
can.
find bike park donation.
Yep,
Okay.
bike park donation, and they can do it right there in increments of $25.
And how much do they need again?
10 to
raise?
20.
They need between
10
$10,000 and
$20,000.
$20,000, and they're looking for in-kind donations as well, in terms of materials and
Labor.
labor, yeah. Volunteer, they will be getting a volunteer drive going, I think, to clear out what needs to be done down in lot 2, is it? Lot 2? But yeah,
That's
it's
part
very
of the 10
exciting.
That's part of the 10 to 20 K.
That's part of the 10 to
Perfect.
20,
I
yeah.
think they should do well there.
Yeah, so the 11, there was $11,000 that we put towards it that came out of that Vancouver Coastal Health grant. The other parts of that, the other $4 grand is gonna go to training for fundamental movement skills and physical literacy skills for all of our instructors, recreation instructors who work with kids, as well as any youth who are interested in being bike park ambassadors. And they can get some skills around learning fundamental movement skills and physical literacy skills, and a bit of how to coach and talk to kids. And then they can be paid. There's actually, that grant is also gonna pay honorariums for them to be at the bike park on Saturday or Sunday afternoons after it's open, and just be available to teach kids how to use it, what not to do to it, and kind of be a bit stewardship around that. So that's the other piece of that grant. So,
Super.
yeah, that should
It's
be.
good LIT stuff too.
Yeah, great LIT. So that's kind of the bike park update, and I guess if we
Rotary
can,
by any chance?
I don't think they've approached Rotary,
They should.
okay?
I mean, I don't know what money they have, but they should approach them.
Okay.
This is kind of new.
And the foundation.
They've got $7,000 from the community foundation. Oh, and the Nick Nack Nook.
Yes, that'd be the other.
$7,000 total between the Nick Nack Nook and, oh, that's the same, is it? Community
No.
foundation? No, those would be two different. So they did approach Who did you say? Rotary.
Rotary.
Now, if they aren't gonna proceed with it this winter, what about the clearing and things like that?
Yeah, I think some of that probably can happen, and I think the other goal is to get it flagged, like really marked out well as to where it's gonna be, because we still need to meet with Metro Vancouver Parks. We're working on setbacks and whatnot, making sure that they're not, there's not really runoff down into
Oh, yeah.
the riparian zone down at the bottom
right.
of the cliff there. Signage, we're talking about signage, that might also be something, so looking at signage for the parking for the park, which won't be in the school parking lot, it'll be along Mount Gardner Road. And we're working with Metro Parks about potentially getting a little bridge from Mount Gardner Road, along the snake field. There, at the far end of the snake field, there's the community garden, the school garden, and on the far side of that, towards the recycling depot, a little bridge in there to go across the creek, and then cut back in right in behind the outdoor learning center to hook into that trail to access the bike park. So there's a little bit of pre-work that needs to be done there as well. Scott Slater has said we can probably cordon off a couple of parking spots when we're bringing in material and whatnot within the school to access it by that little path,
Yeah.
that goes down right into the snake field. So they're being really cooperative in terms of letting us get in there and access and stuff.
Yeah, that is good, that's great.
Yeah,
Super.
yeah, so that's the bike park initiative. So yeah, they're just into the fundraising, so if we can just help spread the word, I think that would be good. They're doing little bottle drives to the kids, they're trying to really get the kids involved in creating this and taking ownership over it and getting as part of the fundraising, so. Yeah, that's the bike park.
Get to work.
Get to work.
Here's your,
Can I just do it on mine or no? It won't show up there, because it didn't save last time.
do you have Q Presenter software downloaded from the interweb on your computer?
No?
We should do that next time.
Okay, so I need to do it on there?
It's on the desktop, just keep saving,
Okay,
taking the stick out.
okay. Okay, so, the hope for this meeting was that people were gonna come with some ideas for action items, for the work plan. And we were gonna do some prioritizing in terms of short, medium, and long-term goals.
Did everyone get Craig's email, or was that
Craig, could
you and I?
I think just us, maybe I'll print
Yeah,
it. I got it right here.
I'm really surprised.
Oh, I'll pretend I'm Craig. But other people could go first. So maybe we just wanna go through, if somebody came with some ideas to just flesh this out a little bit more. And, yeah. Excited to hear what you came up with.
I'm just gonna run up to the car if that's okay. I'll
Okay.
get my glasses and pen.
Okay.
Blind.
Well, I like the idea of a skate park.
Do I need a mouse?
Yes.
Mouse? Like, why doesn't this go
Yeah.
anywhere I want it to go? Okay. So skate park.
Stand a little ways, yeah.
Yeah, it's on the second page. Development of skate park, underneath development of sports. Well, I think you still have to go up.
There we go.
There we
Skate
go.
park.
I think it should be, as far as community center and that sort of thing, I think it should be an integral part of the whole area. Starting from Bix, you got the basketball courts there and that sort of thing. And we want to sort of get the kids coming around that side to the community center, if we get a community center.
No, there's no
No.
way.
Yeah.
And anyway, just make it part of the deal, and I think it should be sort of, just as you come around the corner at the end of the field there, just get some space in there.
We talked way back when,
Yeah.
I guess it was the other committee I was on. We talked about having the same thing, the skate park part of the community center, and even having possible rails and stuff that
Yeah.
could be rails for the stairs you may need to get into the community center.
Yeah.
But also skateboardable, if that's the word.
Yeah, probably a little dangerous. I don't know.
Like the actual access into the community center? Would be
Just-
skateboardable?
I'm imagining, this is just my imagination, but it's a big plaza area, and there's gonna be a few stairs, so that the railing maybe the farthest over could be, not have little bumps on it, so they could slide down it, or, some concrete benches, yeah, that they can leap up and do all those things that they do.
Yeah, just a piece of it.
Yeah,
And even if we don't actually, get it going as part of the community center project, because it's quite expensive, at least have the land in there and have it where we think it should be. Has to be high profile.
yeah,
Yeah.
because before it was gonna be
Buried in the woods.
the corner, well, it was gonna be the corner across from the school, there's
Yeah.
where the two roads go, it was gonna
Oh,
be
yeah, yeah,
there,
yeah.
but it's really steep.
Yeah.
I don't even, I can never really imagine how it's gonna work, but that's where the thought was that it would go. But I like the back of the field way better.
I
Well,
think it's
just-
great
yeah.
there. I think it's
Yeah.
also, there's gonna be staff in that building. So if there was an issue, it's not like it's out in the middle of
Yeah,
nowhere where there's not anybody around. If
No,
someone's
yeah.
injured or
I was talking to
hurt.
the skateboard dudes, they were at ABCM,
Okay,
and, what was the name of them? Same guys that, I guess, Stiver's been talking to.
Kevin Harris,
Yeah.
is
Is that one of the guys?
a New Line, maybe.
New Line
Skate.
Yeah, those guys. And that was one of the things they said, is it has to be high profile, it can't be hidden away in the woods anywhere, because it degrades pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Potential of degrading quickly.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just a thought, and we just finished a community lands meeting just before this, and we said we have to get together and we have to designate these spaces, because they're talking about doing a whole development of all that lot 2 in there, instead of just doing it piecemeal like we're doing BC Housing and, the community center BC Housing is doing a comprehensive development, in which case we can take that little piece of land and say, okay, this is designated as a skate park.
that'd be great.
And, even if we don't get it done right away, at least it's there and it's potential for the
I think
future.
if there's a piece of land
Yeah,
that's gonna create some excitement again, and
Yeah.
some kids who are willing to push it, right? Because
Yeah.
a few years ago, there was this great group of kids,
yeah,
and there was
They
no
lose
help,
no
there was
bit from
no, there was no land, there was nothing that we had a design even, we had a guy come in and design it, but yeah, and those kids are, they're all grown up and have their own kids now, probably.
so they're, yeah.
This was a long time ago.
It
It's
was a while
the next
ago,
wave.
yes.
The next wave.
So
I don't
there's-
think it goes away. I think the skate park is, I might have said in days gone by that, it's gonna go away. It's not.
It
going
hasn't,
Yeah.
and you
No.
go by any of them,
Yeah.
and there's people all over.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
the little BMXers and scooters.
Yeah,
they're
and
now
yeah, it's
too.
multi-purpose.
a
Yeah,
bit more
absolutely.
multi-purpose.
Yeah.
There is a skate park group forming,
There
similar to
is.
the bike park.
Rod
group.
and-
So
yeah.
Rod Marsh
Yeah.
and John Stiver
John
are working
Stiver.
together pretty closely on setting up proper processes of how to bring this forward.
Yeah,
And they'll be coming to present to the commission, I think maybe even in November. So they're putting some presentations together, and also a presentation of Noah.
Ah. That was Santa
Yay!
Claus.
Also a presentation of, for funders and stuff, so that's starting to happen, which they may
Yeah.
be coming to us for a collaborative project service agreement.
Love it.
Okay, well, this is where I was working from as well, because we get this community recreation development, and then it looks like it's being sort of steered into municipal offices and so forth. And in my mind, I wanted to see a layout like they have at Parkgate, for instance, where they have the skateboard park right front and center.
Yeah.
And it's like on the way into, and it makes sense because this is a recreation facility.
Yeah.
And in the same vein, I think there should be like a sports court. And I would really push to have some tennis courts because at this point in time, there is only one public tennis court, which is hardly usable because it's during school hours, you're not allowed to use it, and it's not in good shape. And really, we should have 2 tennis courts side by side that could potentially be covered and lit, and it should be for the Bowen Island people. There are a lot of tennis players on this island. And, you know, I would like to see that facility being used for a sports court that could be basketball and volleyball and whatever, as well as skateboard park, as well as tennis courts. And it looked like a recreation
I think I said this
center.
before, the way I think this would happen would be similar to what's happening with the skateboard park. There's a group that are gonna push it,
Yeah.
and I think there needs to be a tennis group that's gonna push it. That's the only way I think it's gonna happen, because we're gonna need extra funding for something like that. I know the land is tight, the space that we have for the community center is tight, so it's gonna need a group that's gonna say, this is what we want, and we've raised, $10,000, it doesn't have to be the whole cost, but we've raised money, this is what we want.
Sure.
I don't think coming from this little group is the way to go, to really get it to happen.
No.
I think there has to be
Has to
incentive
be
from the
grassroots, yeah.
community, yeah.
Yeah, well, we did actually have a website at one point, Toby Tennis on Bowen Island. And there is quite a substantial email list of tennis players who would really like to see facilities on the island. You know, it starts to rain and you're hooped.
Yeah,
It's the end of
well,
Although, I know it's not tennis, but there were over 10 people at pickleball last night.
it. Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah.
Were you there?
No,
Okay.
pickleball and badminton and, you
Yeah.
know, all of that's good too.
It's another option, but,
Low
Yeah.
impact for
Yeah,
yeah.
big space.
yeah.
Okay, that's all. So are we kind of, I guess this is sort of hinging on this comprehensive development of the land.
Mhm.
And are we looking at these as sort of mid-range priorities? Or we don't want to do that yet? We keep going?
Well, I don't know if it could even be considered a priority if we're looking to various community groups to come up with the energy. If it's not something we're doing, then it can't be an action item.
No.
Other than getting the word out to people who are really loving a particular activity like tennis and saying, you know, the community center is getting built. If you have a particular interest and you're really invested in getting something going for your own group, you need to do it. But other than encouraging people to step up and take the ball, it can't, I don't really see it as an action item for us, for this commission. Because we're not gonna initiate or drive. They're
No.
gonna initiate and drive and then we'll support.
yeah,
Once the ball is rolling, isn't that what you're saying, Kathy?
yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. It's hard to say, it's hard for us to drive it if we aren't hearing from the end users, right? I mean, we hear from you, Pam, which is great, but at the skateboard park, they created a new one, they've done this before, they've done it numerous times, and they've got this group, and they're really trying to make it happen. So we need the same kind of thing happening from the tennis
Yeah.
Because then
community.
we can get behind it like we have the bike park, right? They have a group, they have an organization, we're getting behind it, and so what we can do is then recommend.
Collaboration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and if the
Recommend
skateboard
to
park is
council.
already, sounds like somebody's already doing that, we just need a tennis
Yeah,
group. Because
Okay,
I
well,
agree,
I
I
can-
support that too, I think it,
I think it's
you know, good tennis courts would be, I don't play, but there's a lot of, there's a
We
lot
just
of
have to keep this
value.
stuff on the radar, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
Until somebody, but once somebody sparks it up and comes to council and says this, then obviously the commission can come in behind it. So we've
Yeah.
And I
been
have
looking
a-
at that,
you
that's
know,
a great
I
idea.
have a feeling if you had a tennis group, there would be funding from Tennis Canada. But I don't think we as a municipality can go to Tennis Canada. I think it would have to be a tennis group that is, it's some funding
Looking for
over
help.
there. Yeah, say, hey, this is what we want to do, and they may even be able to guide how to create a group and how to go about
Okay.
getting things done, right?
All right, well, I'm willing to start moving in that direction with
Okay.
tennis.
Good.
I know we've certainly got the people who, whether they have the energy
Yeah.
push forward with it, I don't know, but I do really believe that the skateboard thing is absolutely paramount, and I think it should be high priority. Like just that area for sports in general, rather than having it turned into, I don't know.
Yes, you do.
You know, like, I totally agree with the skateboard park being there. And sports courts, like sports courts with a basketball hoop and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What you're saying is you can't have everything interpreted for us.
Do you have any?
I have one, just a, you know, I think the area around the community center is gonna be, all that property is gonna be very highly coveted by a lot of different people.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, you know, I think at some point, the planners or, you know, are maybe going to be forced to say, okay, we're gonna allocate this percentage to sports, this percentage to sort of parkland, gathering areas for children or seniors or community groups. You know, I doubt if we'll, as a commission, be too involved in that. But I'm just thinking, you know, it's great to think, you know, the community center is not a sports center, it's a community center.
Yeah.
So somebody's gonna get stuck with the unenviable job of figuring out proportionately, like, you know, how that land directly around the community center gets allocated.
Yeah.
Again, I don't see us as, other than making recommendations for things like we would love to see a skate park, you know, right front and center. Other than that, I don't see us as really driving those kind of decisions. Do we have that kind of power?
No, we don't have any power.
We can also go and speak, maybe
Yeah.
to,
Of course you can.
see what, this is the
Yeah.
action items, do we go and say, we're interested in seeing
And I
these
think as a
things?
commission,
Yeah.
we're not here just to recommend sports things, like when you said,
No, no.
a passive park for the kids. Absolutely, we're totally in support of that, or, you
Yeah.
know, there's all sorts of things that we need to support that aren't just sports.
Yeah, because this is not strictly a sports.
Yeah, it's not.
This is
no,
the
it's
recreation
Recreation.
commission, right?
Yeah, well,
So-
community and
Recreation and
And
community
community
services.
services, okay.
Yeah.
So, but I think as an action item, rather than getting specific, to say that we will become an active voice in making recommendations during the planning process in terms of how that land could be. So we could make it like a commitment rather than an action to let our voices as commissioners or as a board be heard as that planning process and the allocation of the land around the community center gets, as those decisions get made.
I like that.
So that's, that goes under the first item, which is the support the development of the community center.
Yeah.
So that's.
Also, yeah.
Yeah,
So we can voice something.
Okay.
Yeah, like become a voice for various interests or.
Also ping pong, there's a calling.
Cement
The
tables.
cement
Cement
tables,
tables.
and those,
Could be down at the new building down there.
they could be, I was gonna suggest that, I haven't yet. I'm not sure how that will go over with the library, if if people are in there trying to read and it's like, bang, 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 bang.
No, it's out, no, it's out.
I hate you.
I think I
Down
was
there, right?
traumatized by
Yeah.
ping pong as a child.
I'm gonna hit you. I think it's a good idea, though, to have them either there or up. We're newly developing. Anyway, John Gibbons is spearheading that.
Yeah, I've met with him about that, so we have a little bit of information around that as well. I really think that the land around the community center is key in how that gets developed. Just because it is such a central spot. And it's a central spot. We want people to come to the community center. It's a gathering. We don't just want certain demographics to come. One of the comments that I know Craig had made was that, you know, what is there at that community center that's bringing the teenagers there?
Mhm.
Well,
Skateboard park.
maybe
climbing wall.
nothing right now, right? Unless they're gonna come work out in the weight room, or they're part of a class or something, but there's not really any place, you know, they'll probably hang out in the community living room and get a coffee or a drink or whatever, but
Yeah.
if there's not a gymnasium in that space, which there is, it's not planned to have one, where they can do drop-in sports or whatever, you know, what is in there that's really
The
bringing
draw,
that,
I agree.
that demographic in? So the skate park is maybe one way to do that. Maybe there's concrete ping pong tables along a sidewalk or something.
Sports court.
I think, or the sport court, I also think we should have outdoor fitness equipment around the community center, maybe a few pieces in the woods or something. There's, you know, there's new fitness equipment at the new turf field in North Vancouver. And
Yeah,
every
it's
time
a
I
great
drop
park.
by there are people on it,
Yeah.
using it,
Cool.
every time.
Who's-
So it's, and there's a track
Track
around
for
the
There's
field.
a nice track, which
It's
we're not
all
gonna
lit,
have,
and a
but-
big soccer field in the middle.
and the
It's
water
got-
park.
And the water park, so right on the
How is
lawn.
Yeah.
What is, because my geography is fuzzy, what is physically the connection between that area we're just talking about and the bike park?
So
Will there
the-
be a path, would it be able to, will there be a path between the two?
there is a path down the back way, actually, currently, that goes behind the school, that would take you right to the bike park.
Because here's my idea for kids, would be to have a drive for people to donate old bicycles they're not using, keep them in a shed, and then, because kids don't, like, most teenagers are not gonna cycle up and down all the hills to get there from wherever they
Right.
live. But if there's a whole bunch of just bikes that they can trash, and then they could just access the bike park from the community center and then hang out at the community center after or something.
Mhm.
Have little bike park events, races and so on, whatever. I don't know, just occurred to me.
Yep, I think.
Like to integrate those two.
I think the programming, I mean, the programming is endless.
Yeah.
You can do, if you've got a lot of different sports
Venues
or
and things
venues
going
or
on.
activities within a really,
Crossover.
the crossover, you could have a little triathlon of
Yeah.
I say you do have
bike,
the basketball
skate,
courts.
there's
but they're
basketball
not-
courts,
They're
but
not,
there's no lines.
what was there?
No.
Why would
Scott,
you have
we've been
lines?
talking about trying to get lines on that basketball
Yeah.
court for a long time.
There should be lines, there are sports court lines. I
Yes,
believe.
but on the current basketball court at Bix,
There is not?
there's no lines.
Oh, yeah, no, there should be,
Yeah,
because
we
then
need
they,
to
and they
have
can incorporate different,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like even pickleball and basketball.
Yeah,
could Potentially be on the same court.
they had a big, long, large quote, and the school district wasn't. So maybe
Really?
that's something we need to look
A big
at.
quote from the Lions.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
like over,
I'll put them on.
like over $2,500 or something,
Really?
just to come paint lines.
So could we not just paint them? Get
In the middle of the
whole
night.
gold-
School District 45, ooh, yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, we're not
Non-union.
union members and we're not.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
All that
Do it
stuff.
at night,
But I'm gonna put it in here, maybe just as a, so we don't forget.
yeah.
Good idea.
I just wanna see it all, like, stuff for kids, teenagers,
That may be
seniors to do.
self-generating, I hope it is.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I don't wanna go crazy develop, I mean, I want a skate park and the bike park, totally. But I don't think we need to go crazy in providing things for the teenagers, because the teenagers will do what the teenagers wanna do. And the
Exactly.
more we provide for them, they're not gonna do it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what it is.
It has to be organic.
Yeah.
They just have to make it happen. And if they have some good ideas, sure, that, you know, maybe there's an area there that we can put up, I don't know.
Give them something to wreck.
Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking about the bikes, they
I
can
know, I
trash
think
them.
that's a
Yes.
great
Drive
idea.
them off into.
The other thing that occurred to me to bring for kids is just to provide a hangout space, maybe with some sort of electrical outlets so they could plug in instruments and amplifiers. depending on
But
what
you
kind
know
of
what, they have a
venue.
teen
have that.
center.
They have a teen
They
center,
have a teen
yes.
center that has all that opportunity,
Yeah,
and
you're
it's
right.
only the young ones that go
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, once they get older,
By the time
they're
they
in
get-
town with their
yeah,
friends.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And that's where they wanna be.
Yeah,
you know, and I don't think whatever we do is gonna really gonna change that.
no, I agree completely.
So what are you getting, the 13 to 15s down at the?
Not even
No,
that.
Not even
12
that.
to
Oh.
Up to-
13s, I
Up to
think.
12, basically, or
Oh,
13
really?
at the
Yeah.
high,
Okay.
yeah.
Once they go to high school, I think
That's it, they don't come back.
They never come back.
They're,
13, that's the grade 8s are still
Yeah, the
going.
grade 8s are still
We're in
going.
October.
Yeah.
They're still kindies. I like to go there.
Yeah.
Still look
yeah,
really
because it
little.
is still a gathering place for them, and you're right, they're still
Yeah.
pretty young.
And they really use it to roam the cove, like they're starting, it's
Mm-hmm.
more and more like just a spot to gather and go from. Right.
But I know, like at the Mount Seymour Parkgate Rec Center, blah, blah, blah facility, that skateboard park is in constant use by all ages.
They all are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one up in North Bend and Upper Lonsdale.
You
Yeah.
don't buy any
Just
of them.
wild,
Yeah, and it's, they're all sitting there, you know, some of them are in there, you know, whatever, they're smoking pot and doing whatever too,
It's legal now.
whatever, yeah. You know, but it's just, they're there and they're interacting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And stuff is happening, and it is a draw. So maybe
Yeah.
we wouldn't lose quite so many to Vancouver if
Maybe.
we
Big city,
could
big smoke.
have these things.
And the sports courts too.
Yeah.
And that's, just looking at our recommendations, and we're talking about the support of the community, development of the community center. And then I've just highlighted a bunch of things we were talking about that we said, well, the sports courts, the skate park, all would kind of fall under that, but we actually have them under engage the community and developing outdoor recreation opportunities. It's almost could be,
Some synergy.
yes, there seems like there's a lot of synergy in there
Yeah.
that maybe we can
Yeah.
condense, and then it's just a bit clearer, right? If we're saying that these things, these sports courts, all this actually is part of supporting the development of the community center, maybe we should move them into there to,
Sure.
because that is partly what I think that's what we're saying, right? Is those things fall under.
I would like to see as much area put aside for that purpose as possible.
Exactly. And I think we're all kind of
Expansion.
supporting
Yeah.
that we want to see X number of, for these, you know, these particular, but of course, we're open to other suggestions that somebody might have, but.
So, and what kind of a voice would we potentially have in this case? Making recommendations or?
Well, we're certainly invited to the table at different times, so we'll show up and say, you know, this is
Yeah.
what we know from our survey and our master plan, or whatever we call it. That this is what the community wants and needs, and so we'll just keep repeating it.
Yeah.
You know, we'll be there saying this is, and this group is working on this, and this group is working on that, so this is gonna come at you, and be prepared and
Yeah.
make
And
the
for,
space.
for this commission to make recommendations to council as well, I think holds
Yeah, absolutely.
holds some weight with
It certainly does.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question.
council, especially given that the commission we have tried to have different demographics represented on the commission, so it is kind of a good representation of the community and what those needs might be.
But I think a water park would be kind of fun.
I know.
That would be, even if it's
That
just
would
a
be-
couple.
So that was
lovely
one of
things.
Craig's thing as well, a water park maybe somewhere in Deep Bay and make a waterfront recreational hub. Children's activities and tourism.
Children's activities in, I'm sorry, Joanne?
Tourism.
In Deep Bay.
But how are we gonna do that?
Deep Bay. I could see either it down in the cove or up at the new rec center.
But rec centers get bigger and bigger.
It sure is, isn't it?
Community
I
center,
wish there
community
was so much more money
We
than
already
there is.
had one here, development of a water park near the marina.
Yes.
Yeah, that
That
to
was
me would
one.
be, because it's close to
But
everything.
that's, the marina is not, that's GVRD. Metro's
Yeah, Metro's,
project.
yeah.
That's
And they're
right.
not keen on us doing anything.
No, they're really
A
not.
water
They're
park,
not.
you mean like
It's not that
jets
they don't
for
want
kids
us to do
run
anything,
through?
they just
Yeah.
don't wanna do
They,
anything.
like they have in
you
Horseshoe
know.
Bay.
Yeah.
Cute, cute, and the kids love it.
Spray, they do.
Yeah.
But
They
that must
love
be a
it.
little, that
They
must
love
be
it.
a West Band park.
Horseshoe Bay?
Yeah, so,
Yes.
you know, it's the
Yeah.
municipal park, so they could do that.
Yeah.
That park is not a municipal park.
No.
That's Metro's park. And they, you know, they have parks all over Metro. And they're not keen on doing things.
No,
No,
it's
we-
supposed to be passive.
We'd have to have it, on municipal land.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's plumbing, there's all sorts of things, right?
Not to mention water restrictions in the summer. How do you do
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I mean, I know the water gets
Well, I don't know how
circulated,
they
but
do it, but like, I know in Kamloops, their water parks are on all the time and they never have any water in the summer, so.
And the one at,
There's
at
gotta
Belmont-
be
Comes right out of
the
the
one at
Recycle.
Belmont Park was
So,
really
yeah,
awesome.
maybe.
Yeah.
So it does recycle, it doesn't get
seems to
filtered.
be,
recycled.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah.
Filtered
Okay.
and recycled, yeah.
Yeah,
And the one at John Lawson, the new John Lawson Park is, it's
Oh, yeah.
packed.
yeah, it's packed all the
All
time.
the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, even the one at Mahan was.
Well, even
yeah,
Horseshoe
was
Bay.
busy, yeah. Yeah, Horseshoe Bay, yeah. So, yeah, I love waterworks, I think they're great. We'll have to look, I can't see it being near the marina, because we don't have any land down there. Or Deep Cove, we don't have any land down there. So, it's gonna have to be the community.
Does it have to be, does it have to be in the cove though?
Yeah. I
You know
think
what
it
happens
does.
if you put a Bowen Bay or something like that? Then it's an adventure getting out there, or Seymour Bay, have a big water park at Seymour Bay when that gets going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mind you,
Which is-
then we might
Yeah.
meet with all kinds of issues with the residents in that area.
No, because not when Seymour Bay is developed down at the bottom, which probably in the next 200 years it will be.
There's a park there.
There is a
And
park there,
Wolfgang,
it's a
those guys-
municipal park.
Wolfgang, those guys are supposed to do something with that too.
Yeah,
right?
it's a
They got
municipal
money.
park, yeah.
Get them to put it in. Make the developers do it before you pass anything else.
What if they put in tennis courts?
Yeah, right?
Why not?
Whistler was built, developers paid for it all, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well-
that's true.
if we ever got the stuff that Wolfgang owes us,
Yeah, right.
it'd be a pretty pleasant
We
place.
also made a big chunk of money from our water right now.
Yeah, but that's a good idea, DCCs, you know.
You're right, 'cause there's that
development
chunk, there's
costs,
that chunk
you
right
know,
on the
that-
water, right?
Yeah, oh, I know, well, that's a municipal park though, eh?
Yeah, weren't they supposed to do something with it though, a little more than that?
No, I don't think so.
Just level it out?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I don't know what the plan is, and I don't know what the boundaries are or anything like that.
Does
But
it
he-
have access to a beach?
It's right on the
Yeah,
beach.
right on.
Actually,
Yeah,
the park
right.
itself is actually almost on the beach. They built this
Mhm.
lower terrace thing, there's a pathway down
Oh,
and
Yeah.
some stairs that go down. Right now, it's just like nothing. But that's where there's a designated park.
yeah.
And that was a part
On
of
the
the
beach.
agreement prior
Yeah.
to him being allowed to develop.
Yep.
And what other lands do we have on Bowen that have been
Amazing
designated such? We should find that out.